Me and my friends lived in a cul-de-sac just outside of town. If you don't know what a cul-de-sac is, I'll explain. It's one of those dead-end streets with a row of houses on either side. The one my friends and I lived on is basically a large clearing with forests around it. I'll call my friends Jacob, Cole, Zach, and Chase. The neighborhood in question is really wealthy. One day, I was sitting on the curb drinking Coca-Cola. I don't remember why I was wasting my time sitting at the curb like a bum, but that's beside the point. A U-Haul truck approached the neighbor's old house, along with a black car. This car was obviously not well taken care of. I was expecting better since this neighborhood is admittedly pricey and the main demographic is the more rich. I hadn't ever seen these people come around the house to check it out, so I just assumed they had already checked the place out when I was away at school. I saw a blond kid step out first. He looked to be about my age, 16. He stretched out, meaning he had probably been on that boring car ride for God knows how long. And then his parents stepped out. At least, I assumed they were his parents. His mother was just like him, tall, thin, and blonde. His dad, on the other hand, was on the shorter side and had glasses with a lot of facial hair. And then his sister stepped out. She had brown hair, and she was also on the shorter side. She was kind of cute, not gonna lie. Anyway, I watched the parents of these kids ask them politely to work together to get the couches out of the U-Haul van. "It's a team effort," said their father. "We'll be done in no time." I decided I wasn't going to watch them unpack awkwardly, so I went inside. Sometime later, I was playing Smash Bros. In the living room when I heard the doorbell ring. I got up to answer it, already knowing who it would be. It was the new neighbors. "Hi there, kid. Are your parents home?" the mother asked. "Yeah, let me." As soon as I turned around, I saw my mom walk into the room. "Who is it?" she asked. "We're the new neighbors," the lady said. My mom walked to where I was previously standing to get the door. "I'm Linda. This is my husband, Matthew." The man stuck out his hand for a handshake from my mom. My dad came into the room 30 seconds later. I remained in the kitchen, not a very big fan of social interaction with people I don't know very well. "This is our son, Chris." Linda pointed to the blond kid. His jacket was ripped in a few places. "Nice to meet you," he said to my parents. "And this is our daughter, Annabelle." The girl just played on her phone and didn't introduce herself at all like the rest of the family. Everyone had a laugh about it. Linda pointed out the TV with a paused game of Smash Bros. On it. "I see your son likes video games." "Oh yeah," my mom said. "Never gets off the damn thing." I knew my mom was just talking to talk, if that's the right way to put it. But I had just sat on the curb staring into the tree line and neighborhood for a good 20 minutes that morning. I had only started playing video games for a few minutes. I didn't mind the misconception though. Same with my son. My mom kind of invited the neighbors into our house to have a drink. The blond boy, apparently named Chris, came over to me and sat on the couch. "You got more controllers?" he asked. "Yeah, the Joy-Cons are over there." I pointed to the console. He pressed a button and slid them up and off of the Nintendo Switch gamepad. I wanted to go easy on this kid, but I'm such a pro that I destroyed him without taking much damage. Can't blame the kid though. I beat level 9 CPUs all the time. I even beat teams of them against me. I am an extreme pro at that game. I then decided to do a team match with him on my team. We had fun playing games for 2 hours. Eventually, my mom wanted me to show him around the house. During the house tour, we laughed and joked about inappropriate things. Chris was funny and energetic. I figured he'd get along with Jacob very well. They even have the same hairstyle. After we were done, Chris showed me his new house. I had seen a little bit inside from when our old neighbor Marty invited my dad and I over to fix his computer at least once a month. It's a strange feeling to be in a house knowing someone you knew died in there. Especially the death of Marty was recent. Everything in his house seemed normal until I saw what he called the computer room. It was originally a closet, but while unpacking, his family let him set up a desk with multiple monitors and a computer. This was one of those computers that you can build with electronic parts. They're the ones that light up with color. He also had several boxes and a few locked boxes in the room after that. His parents came back and told me that I had to go home, but I was welcome any other time. I thanked them and left. My friend Cole came over later that day and I told him about Chris. Cole planned on meeting him another day, and after Cole left at around 8 p.m., I hopped into the shower and then crawled under the covers. It was 9 at that point. I pulled out my phone and checked my notifications. Almost all of my contacts on Snapchat had posted boring stories that I would, for some reason, sit through. Not long after, I moved on to Instagram, watched a ton of YouTube videos, and went to bed. I had forgotten to mute notifications, so I ended up waking up 20 minutes later to the classic Samsung whistle sound. I saw a text from a random number saying, "Hey, it's Chris." I assumed my mom had given this guy my phone number. "Hey dude," I sent back. "Hey, just wanted to see if it was really you." "Yup, it's Justin." "Okay, good. Good night, bro." "Good night." Right after that, I went to sleep thinking all was well. The next day was Monday, and I expected to see Chris at school, but I didn't see him at the bus stop. Annabelle was there, though. I texted Chris asking if he was going to be at school, or if he was going to a different high school, or maybe even doing homeschool. He texted back almost instantly. He said he wouldn't be doing any of that because he had accumulated enough credits to graduate. Before the bus came, I texted, "Lucky." The bus driver doesn't let us bring phones on the bus, so I turned it off and slid it into my pocket. The school day wasn't particularly interesting, just another shitty Monday. When I got home, Chris was sitting on the bench at the bus stop as if he was waiting for me. When I got out, he stood up. "Hey Justin." "What's up, Chris?" "Nothing really." "Is this the new guy you were talking about?" Cole asked. "Yeah, this is Chris. He's new." "Yeah, so..." Chris organized his thoughts for a moment. "The reason why I waited here for you is because I wanted you to show me around some more." Well, I pointed to Cole's house. That's where Cole and Zach live. "Are they brothers?" "Yeah, they don't look like it though. Anyway, that's Jacob's house. That's Chase's." I was just pointing at houses and he wasn't even looking in those directions. "No, I wanted you to show me around the woods." As soon as Chris said that, I raised an eyebrow. This was an odd request. I mean, there's not much to it. We have so-called bunkers we made as kids to hide from dragons when we used to roleplay stupid shit. There's also an abandoned house, but that's a fat hike. Then there's a treehouse and a hunting tower, but that's about it. It's not exactly what I'd consider interesting. Well then, let's go check it out. Alright, but I gotta do homework first. Just call me at like 4? Okay. Then we went into our houses. Homework wasn't an excuse to get away, like you may have thought. My mom is crazy about checking my backpack and making me do anything blank. I did have one page of homework in Mr. Skeen's history class. It was on the Medici family and the Renaissance or some bullshit. When 3:49 came around and I had finished the worksheet, I called him and asked him to meet between our houses. Him and I both met up there at the same time. He was wearing closed-toed shoes, pants, and a jacket. It was smart to dress like that, I said. I had socks with sliders, a t-shirt, and shorts. I knew I'd have to deal with more mosquitoes and spider webs and face palmed at myself. Yeah, gotta come prepared. We didn't have many forests back in my old town, Chris told me. We started walking past the tree line. The only time I had ever been in a forest was to cut through to get to the rich parts of town for trick-or-treating. Then the other time was when I was a Cub Scout. We went camping. Cool. We walked closer to a fallen tree. What happened here? He asked. Crazy storm some years back. But look, I pointed to some holes in the ground that me and all my friends in the neighborhood had dug up when we were 11. Nice. He jumped into the small hole and crouched. I'm El Chapo, he said. I laughed. I remember thinking this kid was harmless. I was looking forward to developing a real friendship with him because he was funny and cool. I showed him the treehouse, which I hadn't even been in for years. The floorboards gave in when I walked. I felt like I could fall at any minute. It still smelled like the little tree black ice air freshener Jacob had put there years ago. So yeah, we have a chessboard, a beanbag chair, all this shit, I said. So no one comes here anymore. Nope, we just kinda stopped when we were 13. It got boring to us. Sweet, Chris said. He pulled a brown bag out of his pocket and placed it in the corner of the treehouse. What's that? I asked. Oh, nothing, just my jewel. You vape? Yeah, sometimes. Don't want my parents to find it. I sold it on Craigslist and I can now tell the person where to go. This is a good place to do deals like this. Oh. Yeah, and they won't need to know I'm under 18 when they pick it up. How old are you? 17. Ah, okay. Well, let's just leave that be and I'll show you the other places. We walked deep into the woods. It was about 30 minutes before I found where the ground just goes down. The forest has a steep part that's like a small canyon, like a big divot. Here's this huge divot we call the ass crack of the forest. He laughed. And I take it that's the hunting tower? He pointed to the small wooden cabin-like building with the back porch. Yeah, that's it. We have a bunch of scopes and equipment there. Don't mess with the night vision scopes or ammunition or whatever. Nice. I showed him around. And then we traveled through the divot. The last thing to show him was the abandoned house. This one would take a lot longer to find. We hiked through the giant divot completely all the way to the other side where there was a clearing. Rocks surrounded a rushing river. It wasn't very wide, but that thing was so fast that one wrong move could pull you in forever. The current can kill you. Here's a river. Hell, this could be a canal for all I know. Be careful. There have been ghost stories here of kids who didn't listen and just hopped in. How do we cross it? I'm kind of tempted to jump over it. I guess you could do that, but I don't want to take the chance. We usually just climb over this boulder. I stepped onto a rock and then pulled myself right onto the boulder. I then stopped onto another boulder that was only inches away on the other side of the river. It's hard to explain, but I maneuvered my way over. Chris followed. There it is, I pointed at the abandoned house. I started jogging to it. Chris, who was surprisingly not out of breath like everyone else I hike with, jogged along. Wow, this is huge. Can we go inside? Yeah, there's not much here except for some urban legends. We started walking around. He saw the old television and torn up couch. Chris walked into the kitchen. His phone rang. Excuse me for a second, he said. I nodded and he closed the door to the kitchen. I heard him talking about the treehouse and how to get there. I assumed it was for the vape, but he said that was where the stuff was. He never said jewel, Nord, Mod, or anything I hear people who vape commonly say. Right after he came out of the room and we walked upstairs in the attic, there were tons of Polaroids on the wall. What are these pictures of? He asked. No one really knows. There were pictures of people, places, and things. Children, stop children, stop signs, cars, pretty much what you'd see on a daily stroll in the 1960s. Urban legend has it that someone lived here and didn't take care of this place at all, and these pictures were of people they were stalking. I also read a story about this place where two kids, about 11 or 12 years old, walked into this house thinking it was abandoned and saw pictures of themselves. They heard the owner of the house walk in and then jumped out the window before getting caught. What happened after that? I don't know. I think they called the police, but the person wasn't there and never returned or something. I don't believe a word of it. After I showed him around, we walked back to my house and played video games until he had to go home. That night, I got a text from him asking me to not tell anyone about the vape. I agreed to keep it a secret. Chris and I spent the rest of the week hanging out daily. I introduced him to Cole, Zach, Jacob, and Chase. I even invited him to Friday night Nerf War, a tradition that the neighborhood kids hold. Our houses aren't all that far apart and Nerf guns have only gotten stronger, so we like to shoot the foam bullets from our house windows into each other's. We contributed some old guns to him. Even his sister joined the war. And when we were done, we all cleaned up the bullets. I remember Chase asking Chris why he wasn't going to school, and Chris gave him the same response. And then Cole asked how he got his credits early. Chris shrugged. As the days passed, Chris became less clingy. Well, I don't think that's the way to put it. He became less active with hanging out with me. I don't know. He told me he had to help his dad install new things in the house and drive to get more items from his old one. When Chris wasn't home, Annabelle shot Nerf bullets at my window for no reason. I shot back. That's when I had the slight feeling she might have liked me. Either that or it was me wanting her to like me, so I told myself that had to be the reason. About a week after Chris had returned, I was walking my dog with him. It was a Saturday morning and the sky was gray. So, what really is with the credits? How did you earn them that fast? I asked. His smile went to a neutral expression. Not frowning nor smiling, I could tell he was becoming serious. That's actually something I have to tell you about. Something that keeps my life together, he told me. What? I'll have to show you on my computer. Have you ever heard of the deep web? I've heard the name. Isn't it just like dark corners of the internet for vintage creepy PSAs and shit? No. The deep web, also called the dark web, is a hidden internet service accessible by installing browsers that can view .onion URLs. Onion? I chuckled a bit. It's a bit weird. It's hard to explain. It turned out that the deep web was a series of secret pages. People made illegal websites. Instead of .org, .com, .net, or any of those common ends of a link, they used .onion. And then they created a browser to view the illegal sites called Tor. The browser has since become public. It's also rumored that the government made the hidden service and used it to ship weapons that regular citizens couldn't own for the military. But it was abandoned in 2003, and then Cycles took control of it and made their illegal services only on the browser, or something. On the deep web, here are things you will find: black markets for drugs, illegal guns, human meat, and all this nasty and highly illegal shit. There are also cult homepages, red rooms, child trafficking rings, hitmen for hire, hackers for hire, stolen or pirated movies or books or TV episodes. You get the point. Just anything illegal. It's fucking disgusting in my opinion. I didn't know any of this until he explained it all to me while showing me how to browse it. So don't tell anyone this, he said, but I hacked my grades and credits. It never seemed immoral to me to hack grades or credits. School is extremely stressful. And when it comes to something I hate as much as school, I say the ends justify the means. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I saw your mom yelling at you earlier this week over missing assignments. The worst part is that the assignments were only missing because the teacher's lazy ass lost them. And I'm overloaded with history and shit. Which is why I'm offering to change that. What would I owe you? Nothing. Since you're my friend and you treated me so nicely, showing me around the woods and all, I figured I'd just do something to repay you. I obviously won't just make your grades instant A's right away. They will gradually raise as the days pass. The teachers won't know. I mean, they have like 19 other papers to grade with each assignment. What if we get caught? We won't. My buddy here on the dark web, he's a hacker and a friend at this point. He will do it. And he lives on the other side of the ocean. If they suspect you, they can check your computer and find nothing. What are they going to do? Track some guy who you have no contact with across the ocean? Suspect your neighbor? There's no way this can go wrong. Oh, well in that case, thank you so much, man. This honestly means a lot to me. We talked more about it before moving on with our lives and watching movies and YouTube. In the middle of the day, we went out to the treehouse. I asked why, and he insisted on going. When he saw the brown bag still sitting there, he pulled out his phone and called someone. He asked the person on the other end why they hadn't gotten the stuff yet. I walked over to the bag and looked at it. I got down and started to open it when Chris rushed over to me. No, 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 don't touch that, he said. Why? I asked. It's no big deal. I've seen a vape before. I've tried it once. Just don't touch it. Let's just go somewhere else. I was really taken aback by the way he was acting towards the vape. It made me wonder if there really was a vape in there, or if there was something else. He then got a call from his dad moments later and told me he had to go urgently. I told him goodbye and watched him hop into the ratty old black car. Chris and his dad drove away. I went to Cole's house that evening. His parents were gone for a business trip. They had taken Zach with them. Cole and I had the house to ourselves. I told him about the deep web, which he already knew about. We played video games, ate junk food, prank called people, and when it got too late to go home, because my parents are light sleepers, I decided to crash at his place. But at 1 a.m., Cole pointed out something from the window. Who's that? He asked. I looked. There was a man in a dark cloak. He was poorly shaven and had glasses on. I couldn't see him all too well. He had a brown paper bag in his hand, the same one that contained the vape. As I stared down at him, I worried that he would see me. I wondered what his reaction would be if he saw me just staring at him down. When his hand came out of the bag, he looked in all directions, including the window. Cole and I ducked down, but it was too late. When we felt it was safe to look again, we did. And that's when I saw it. That's when I saw him pull something out of the paper bag, and it wasn't a vape. The man took a syringe from the bag and injected the contents of it into his wrist. What the fuck? I said. Do you think he's doing heroin? Cole asked. I don't know. But what I do know is that Chris used that exact bag. I'm sure of it. He told me he was selling a vape on Craigslist and he left it in the treehouse. To Cole, I was just spouting random nonsensical bullshit. What are you talking about, Justin? So, I was with Chris, right? And he was asking me to show him places around the woods. I showed him the makeshift forts from when we were kids, the hunting tower, the treehouse, and the abandoned house. In the treehouse, he put a brown paper bag in the corner and asked if we used it. I told him no because we haven't really been up there much since we were like 12. Actually, Chase went up there last year to escape his parents yelling at him for something stupid. But that's the only time in years. Anyway, I told him we didn't use it, and Chris said it would be a great spot to make some Craigslist trade for a jewel vape. He said the person had already paid through email, and he just had to leave it in the treehouse for the buyer to pick it up. When I tried to open it, to look at the vape, he acted weird. He told me to avoid the paper bag and to not touch the vape. You should have looked anyway. I was heavily thinking about it, but I kind of forgot. Plus, it's better this way, because if I saw the syringe in there when secretly looking, I wouldn't be able to ask him about it without looking like a creep, snooping around his bag and all. Also, if I was up there, I might have encountered him. I pointed at the guy who was now walking into his car, but his car remained in Cole's driveway. The guy didn't even start driving. Well, how do you know it was the same bag? It could have been a different bag. I was actually glad that Cole was challenging my ideas. It's such a Cole thing to do, and I probably would have done the same. Being skeptical is important. I'm gonna go look in that treehouse right now. That way, if I see the bag is gone, we'll know. I put my shoes on. Cole grabbed a flashlight and put on a pair of boots. Unfortunately, Cole didn't have a back door. This meant that the creep outside would inevitably see us leave the house. Because I like to go to the furthest extent to make sure I'm safe when doing things like this, I yelled, "Bye, Mom!" into the empty kitchen. It was to make the guy think Cole's parents were home if he was watching us. We closed and locked the door. Cole and I ran into the woods. It was a little difficult to navigate the woods during the dark, even though I should have known it like the back of my hand. The mosquitoes grew louder the further we walked, and in just about no time we were there. I climbed up the ladder. Cole followed. I stepped into the cold, dark room and was the entirety of this treehouse. "This smell brings back memories," he said. I agreed. The black ice air freshener scent had remained all these years, and so did the scent of freshly painted wood. Just like I suspected, the bag was gone. I started to piece it together only then. The kid who introduced me to the deep web and actively used it was selling drugs. I didn't like how he was using our treehouse to do so. "What's that?" Cole said, pointing to a red light. It was on some black square. As I looked at the square, I saw a slight reflection. The realization hit both of us at the same time. Cole and I looked into each other's wide eyes at the same time as we both realized it was a camera. We jumped down the ladder and ran back to Cole's house. The car was gone, and as we made it back, I saw Chris in the window looking at us in the woods. His glare felt like a laser cutting through mine. My stomach felt like it was dropping, and my heart skipped a beat. I thought Chris was gone. I hadn't seen his car pull up. Cole and I must have been distracted. This made me run faster, which then also made Cole run faster. We unlocked the door to his house and rushed inside. We were both out of breath. I wasn't sure if Cole had seen Chris in the window. I knew Chris had been watching us on the camera. That's how he knew to be there for us at the window. A sudden knock on the door nearly gave Cullen and I a heart attack. We didn't answer, knowing who it was. I prayed that Chris wouldn't try to find some hitman off the deep web to kill me. It was such a specific and unlikely scenario, but you don't know what deep web nerds and drug dealers are capable of. On the way back to my house, Chris walked up to me. His presence gave me chills. "Wanna go on a walk?" he said. This interaction alone felt like a confrontation. I knew I would have to talk to him one way or another, so I decided to just face my fears. "I saw you last night," he said. Yeah, I didn't know how to reply. Justin, you have nothing to worry about. What you saw last night was something I sold to one guy. I didn't want you to freak out in case you think selling drugs is scary. What was it? Heroin? And why couldn't you just be honest from the start? Like I said, I didn't want to freak you out. And that wasn't heroin. It was a mix of paint remover, gasoline, and a bunch of other chemicals into a syringe. It's called crocodile. What the hell? Why did you need to make and sell that? Because do you know how much it costs to make that shit? Paint remover is like $8, gasoline isn't all too much, and everything else all adds up to $30. Now just one syringe of that shit is worth $30, so I'm making a hell of a lot of more money. But isn't that bad? You're getting people addicted to harmful chemicals. Well, I'm making money, and that's all that matters. I've been doing stuff like that for years. From there, I started to suspect something about this kid was seriously off. I would have considered the kid a sociopath right then and there, but this was the only trait I had witnessed. And for the record, I didn't use Craigslist. Let me guess. Deep website? He nodded. That's kind of creepy, bro. You use the deep web too much. It's given me all I've ever wanted. I get access to money, movies, cheap goods, illegal guns to protect me, people who can hide me, and people who can even kill for me. Stolen money, pirated movies, stolen cheap goods, harmful guns to protect you, bad people who can hide you, and dangerous people who want to kill for you. Well, it's my life and you can't change it. I don't even know why you're getting involved. These are my life choices, and if you try to say anything to cops or whatever, I will take all of your information and ruin your life, David King style. Your grades will fall, and you will be in prison for things you didn't even do. Yeah, I'm not telling anyone, don't worry. No one knows you use the deep web, I'm just saying. Good, let's keep it that way. Now I knew my life was in danger and at risk. There was a gunshot sound last night. And as usual, everyone assumed it was the hunters, but I knew it was too close. The hunting tower was too far. 3 days later, I got a Nerf dart in my window. I knew it was Annabelle's because she uses the zombie strike bullets. There was a note sticking out of the bullet. I unfolded it. It was an invitation to her birthday at the roller rink in town. As much as I disliked that place, I liked Annabelle, and Chris would be there, so it wouldn't be as boring. When the time came, I excitedly went with a great gift. It was a jellyfish lava lamp. The thing was rather expensive, but it was my hard-earned chore money. I would later get a job, but at that time, I hadn't even made a resume. It was actually a pretty fun birthday. I saw a lot of girls from my school who were a year younger than me. This was Annabelle's 16th birthday, and it was in October. Usually you'd expect a Sweet 16 to be something a lot nicer than the sad excuse for a roller rink we have in our town, but that's where she chose. At the cash register, I was about to pay for a double bacon burger when Chris slapped a $100 bill on the table and said, "I'm paying for both of us." I slowly pulled my money back. The cashier gave him his change, which he then put into his wallet. I saw his wallet was full of $100 bills. "Damn," I said. "How did you get such a fat wad of cash?" "It's something I call account trading. On the deep web, you see. The dark web has its own technical flaws. You can buy hacked Bitcoin and PayPal accounts with more money than what you pay to get them with. So, let's say you have $6 and you want to buy an account with 100. So then you make the purchase, and then there's an account with $1,000 on it selling for 100. Now you use that 1,000 to pay for an account with 10,000 and so on. So now you have $10,000 from just 6. That's fucked up, dude," I said. I didn't care if he felt insulted. I was going to tell him That was a terrible thing to do, whether he liked it or not. I didn't even want to eat the burger knowing it was bought with money some guy could have been using to pay for a house and his wife and kids. Chris seemed to become more evil the more I got to know him. I guess, but who cares? Remember the gun closet? Those illegal guns are expensive but help us against cops or whoever might come after us. What if that was your money being hacked? Then I would accept the fact that my account wasn't secure enough. That's fucking stupid. Not really. If you find money on the ground, it's the person's fault for dropping it. I didn't want to argue morals. It's not a matter of this kid's winning the argument. It was a matter of what we each believed was morally correct. Meanwhile, Annabelle really liked the lava lamp. I was proud, but while I was smiling and laughing on the outside, the inside of me was wondering how far this kid had gone. When did Chris learn about the deep web? I wondered how he found it and why he used it so much. It's like he was obsessed. Annabelle, or Anna, as she preferably likes to be called, seemed normal. Their dad seemed normal. Their mom was sort of quiet, but Chris was a borderline criminal mastermind. About this whole deep web thing, I told him later. How are you not on any government watch list yet? Oh, I am, and I have been for a long time, but the problem with that is the fact that I have access to those very lists. I'm right up there next to Edward Snowden. Though they think I'm some Russian chick, he seemed proud. Oh, that's how powerful these hackers are. I actually bought services from this one hacker a few times. Though because I was a talkative 12-year-old, You were 12? Yeah, that's when I first learned about the deep web. Anyway, I made small talk and casual conversation with the hacker. I helped him through tough times and we played video games together. I also told him some of the things I did, like account trading on the deep web. Then we became friends. Now he hacks for me. Wow, but seriously, I'd like you to keep that shit away from our neighborhood. Take your selling of crocodile and whatever that gunshot was last night somewhere else. That gunshot was actually something my dad and I do. We were hunting, but not for animals. There's so much shit I do and it's hard to tell you all of it. Especially because you think this shit is immoral. But do you believe rapists and pedophiles should die? Yeah, without a question. Well, my dad and I promised peddlers on the deep web that there are kids waiting for them in the treehouse if they pay us on Bitcoin. They pay us and then go to that treehouse, and then my dad and I shoot them down. We then take whatever cash they had on them and keep it. And to dispose of the body, we sell it to necrophiliacs and other people who want a dead body. I was getting dizzy. Listening to this story, this implied that there had been pedophiles, rapists, necrophiliacs, and other psychos right next to my house. I loved everyone in the neighborhood. We never had that one neighbor who didn't like the color of our fence and felt the need to complain about it. We didn't have any bad neighbors. I loved everyone who lived on that cul-de-sac. The neighborhood was the safest place on earth. But now that we had a criminal bringing in disgusting people like rapists and drug dealers, I didn't feel so safe. The worst part was that I had a crush on his sister, Anna. Sure, I agree that rapists and pedophiles deserve death, but selling their bodies and doing it all for money is just sickening. I was glad to hear that Chris and his dad were going to make one last trip to storage for a few days. It didn't take long for Anna and I to start dating. She didn't want Chris to know about it, which I found weird, but it didn't bug me. I'm glad I started dating her. Even though she was a grade below, I didn't mind. I also found out things about Chris that changed my view on him completely. All the while I had been telling Jacob, Chase, Zach, and Cole about Chris. Chase didn't believe a word of it despite the fact that Cole had verified it. Jacob didn't take it seriously. All he did was make memes and jokes about it. I have a feeling he doesn't believe it either. Zach doesn't really believe me. Cole knew the truth. He was by my side through this whole mess, but there was nothing he could do. I didn't push him or pressure him to get me Chris's shit out of the neighborhood. I wasn't going to get my friend killed for my motivation to fix this mess. During those 3 days, Chris was gone, and I texted a lot. On the last day, which I believe was Thursday, she asked me to meet her at the treehouse. I went. She was sitting off the edge. "Hey," I greeted lamely.
Hi, Justin.
She said. Before we could start getting into talking about serious things, I silently warned her of the camera Cole and I had found weeks prior. So we just roamed the woods talking. I'm not gonna get into the meaningless details of what we talked about, but eventually our conversation was getting so in depth that we ended up sitting down on a log. It was now about issues in our lives. "Yeah, my parents are nice and stuff, but they just don't listen to me," I said.
Same. My parents just favor Chris. It's fucking stupid.
The sun was setting and I was emotionally drained.
This stupid blonde kid comes waltzing into our house, and my parents decide to move.
Wait, what? He was adopted?
Yeah, it was only recently though, like right before we moved. And I didn't even know we were moving. My parents told me they were gonna adopt a kid, and boom. They acted like they already knew Chris, and then we go from middle class to rich instantly.
I started to put it together in my head from there. I felt like the whole story was changing. Your guy's mom looks exactly like him though. Do you know about Chris's deep web stuff?
Yeah, it's really weird how much they look alike. And yeah, our whole family knows.
What if Chris is what brought this money into your lives with the deep web?
I wouldn't doubt it. My parents are sick in the fucking head. They just adopted Chris, and then we moved quickly.
She started to tear up from what came out next.
I don't even know why they kill people.
What the fuck? I said.
Yeah, they kill rapists and shit that are online, sell drugs.
I already knew all of that.
Did he tell you about what he buys off the black market?
No.
He has had women who are willing to sleep with him. A minor came to our house.
I thought he hated pedophiles.
That's what he says to justify taking money and killing people and selling them. Him and my dad are obsessed with money. Our dad hacks for him, and he has our dad's number on his phone as the hacker's name.
Oh shit. I did not know that. She started to cry even more.
I'm telling you this because I'm scared.
She laid her head on my chest. I didn't know what to say. I would have said something like, "Don't be scared," but that's cliche and won't work. The situation was generally creepy. I didn't know how to deal with something like this.
And the worst part, he's trying to traffic Jacob's little brother.
Tyler?
Yeah,
She pulled out her phone and showed me pictures of the conversation Chris had with the deep web person. It was true. He was trying to get Tyler trafficked for a ton of money. It made me wonder if he had done things like this in the past. Through reading his messages, I came to realize that he wasn't obsessed with the deep web. He was obsessed with money. I'll fucking kill him.
that's not a good idea. He has hitmen on anyone who tries.
Well, I have an idea. I guess I'll have to use the dark web myself. I got onto the dark web and used my mom's credit card to buy hacking services. I told the hacker about everything I had experienced. He didn't think it was fucked up, seeing as how his website says he'll do anything, including ruin people's lives by putting child porn on their computer, all for money. But he agreed he would help me. To shut off the camera system, I'd have to pay a little bit extra, so I did. The hacker told me he had done some sort of delete effect in code, asterisk, period, asterisk. More commonly called star dot star, means everything. Delete means delete. So he deleted everything on Chris's phone and computer. It's not like a factory reset, which deletes just the data. The method is so harmful that Chris literally won't be able to use his phone or computer ever again. The ability to power on the devices is removed. The hacker then turned off Chris's Wi-Fi forever. He asked me if I should have him ruin Chris's life. I thought about it, but that was not my intent. The next thing I did was walk into Chris's house. His mother was home. His sister was hiding at my house for what I was about to do. I went upstairs. Chris isn't home. What do you think you're doing? I stood in front of the gun closet holding a kitchen knife. I need to know. I'm calling the cops, she screamed. Good, I said calmly. I'm sure they'll be happy to know what's behind this door and on your son's computer, and the fact that you're trafficking a child. His mom didn't know what to do, but a few minutes later, Chris and his father rode up to the house. They're gonna kill you. They know people, she said, laughing. I could tell she was nervous. Chris and his dad entered the house to see me angrily blocking the gun closet. Chris, I want the truth, I said. Dude, put down the knife, bro. No, I want answers. About what? Jacob's little brother. He stared me down for a solid minute, realizing Anna had ratted him out. That bitch, I'm gonna kill her. No, you're not. I reached into the closet and pulled out what looked like an AK-47 or something. Why were you trying to traffic the kid? Because the kid is worth hundreds of thousands. So everyone is just money to you? You're money hungry. You are obsessed with earning cash, and using the deep web has helped you earn it in every immoral way possible. How do you think I got to be with a richer family? I used to be poor, used to live in a trailer home in California. I lived in a junkyard. These people illegally adopted me because I sold myself on the deep web. Money runs the world, Justin. Now give me my fucking gun. I saw a pile of cash on the table and stared and started shooting at it. I needed to piss him off somehow. I saw his eyes light up with malice for the first time I had seen him. He ran at me, screaming he was going to kill me for ruining his money. I knew what I had to do. The kid was not only a monster, but one that couldn't just be contained. Chris would kill the police or have someone from the dark web break them out of any prison. There was no other option than to pull the trigger. I had to kill him. I closed my eyes and let the bullet go into his head. His parents tried to flee, but I shot them down too. Seeing their lights leave their eyes haunts me. It turned out that Chris had hacked my phone number. He really was doing this stuff since the beginning. It haunts me to know I killed someone, but the way I see it, and the way the cops see it, there was nothing else. Anna cried for the loss of her parents, but knew as well as I did that it had to be done. She now lives with us. I cut ties with hackers. We moved out. Jacob's family went into witness protection. I never heard from him again, and most of us just moved out of that neighborhood. Though the pain eats at me every day. What if I hadn't made friends with Chris? What if his sister was killed for telling someone else? It all worked out in my favor in the end. The greed that had taken over who seemed like a normal person was dead. Going to a new school and moving out of my once amazing neighborhood was hard. The whole thing caused me to never see my friends again. But it's all for the best. What scares me most is that there could be someone in this audience inspired by Chris. They could find out about the deep web. Anyone can take advantage of the deep web. And just by sharing this story, I'm introducing more people to this sickening place on the internet.